Welcome to 10 Things We Hate About Bioshock. We've done our 10 Things We Love, and now we are going to look at the things we hate about Bioshock. We're talking Bioshock 1, Bioshock 2, and Bioshock Infinite, plus its DLCs. This is the one I had a lot of trouble with. It's not just because, Bioshock's so fantastic and all that. It was generally like, I have to nitpick here. I have to be like, I just don't like that particular one thing, or so on, And I surprised I'm surprised myself, as most of my negatives were weighted towards Infinite more than anything else.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't. Well, you can get us started then.
Okay, this is probably quite an obvious one. You might have it on your list as well.
Go on.
I just hate how underappreciated the second game is. Simple as that, really.
I don't,
Okay.
but I don't have on the list, but I agree with you on that. It's underappreciated. I agree with you. It's underappreciated, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like we kind of discussed in the previous list at the end there, like it didn't necessarily improve upon what came before it, but it was more of the same, and it's more of what, it's more Bioshock, and Bioshock's great, so I have no issues playing more Bioshock, basically. I had slight improvements here and there, and a couple of new ideas. And I thought the story was great, and it has some quality twists in its own right as well.
I agree with that. I didn't mind playing as Big Daddy. I thought it was a new insight into the whole system of Big Daddy's little sisters.
That whole twist about when you find out you're a Big Daddy.
Oh, yep.
Like, who saw that coming?
No, absolutely. No, but I agree with you. It's not. It's for some reason it's lumped in as a bad game. And it's really not a bad game. That's if you think Bioshock 2 is a bad, I get like it doesn't hold a candle to first, but to me it's like it's not a sequel. It's almost like really long DLC. Really long DLC.
It's a bit like DLC, yeah, but as we again said in the previous list, it's testament to how good the first game is, that even though Bioshock 2 was actually a really good game and more of the same, it needed to improve upon the first game. Otherwise people were going to reject it, and they kind of did.
Yeah.
Even like down to Ken Levine himself, the main writer of Bioshock 1 and Infinite, he doesn't consider it to be canon.
That's right, yeah.
Because it screws with his whole idea of the story.
No, of course.
And we'll come on to that. But
we'll go on to that then. You might have this one then, as we often double up, because this is one that almost everybody says is a bad thing. The final boss of Bioshock, the original Bioshock, which is Fontaine.
Yeah.
Atlas, Frank Fontaine, everyone would call him. And for some reason, the game decided, hey, let's go superhuman monster injection kind of thing. And it's a bullet sponge battle. That just is, I almost say it's forgettable.
It's really disappointing. It is on my list.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, it's really strange. Like, that's a hard thing sometimes to think up as a quality boss battle to finish off this epic story and adventure. And it kind of fails miserably, really. It's really easy and anticlimactic, and it's just really, weird, because he becomes this weird, massive, silver Hulk monster almost.
It always kind of reminds me of Dr. Manhattan, almost, to a degree, from look-wise, from Watchmen.
That's exactly what he looks like.
Yeah.
And it's poor, it's disappointing, because there's they've done it better, like in other areas of the game, like with battles of bosses and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when me and Earl put you in that sub. You were my ace in the hole. Can I get it?
What's your next?
My next one is, talking about sequels and how hard it is to make a sequel to Bioshock. I hate that I really want another game.
Yep.
But when you really sit down and think about it, what would that be, and where would it be set, and it's actually really hard.
Yeah.
And that I hate that, because I really want more Bioshock. I love Bioshock, and it's just that's tough to think. It's actually really tough when you really think about it.
I agree with you. I said in the love list that this would be a contradiction to my last one and that, because in the last one I basically said it was great that I hadn't been kind of bummed as a series, but my point, and it ties into yours as well, is that it's kind of shit that we haven't had a new Bioshock since 2013, which was Infinite's release. However, exactly what you said, when I sat there I was like, but what would you do? Like, we can't go back to Rapture again. We can't. Like, already that's a flaw if they go back to Rapture. And it's like, well, no one wants to go back to Columbia. Do you come up with a new place?
The most obvious one people go to is, well, you've got below the sea, you've got in the clouds, you could go higher and go in space. But then we've had so many games set in space since like Prey. You haven't played it. The new Prey game is basically Bioshock in space. Like, it has so many similarities to Bioshock.
Right.
It plays like Bioshock in it, even as some of the story like kind of feels Bioshocky. So we've kind of had that, and you've had So if you don't do that, and what do you do? Like we discussed, the ending to Infinite and the many possibilities and the lighthouses and just. And
we can't think of one.
You can't touch that because you could attempt to go. Let's go into one of the other lighthouses, and then you could screw it the whole thing and just ruin it.
Yeah, you're all right. Yep, you're all right. Okay, then my next one is this segment in Bioshock Infinite where you have to defend the ship from Songbird. It's one of the worst sequences across all the Bioshock games. Purposely frustrating. I'm not a fan of anything where you're forced to have to either. It's almost like an escort thing. We've got to defend a specific thing, and I always remember on the hardest difficulty that being really fucking annoying. I hated that segment. I think it's a lazy segment.
We're talking about poor boss battles. That is technically the boss battle with Songbird.
It is. It's at the end of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it is poor, and I agree. Like, I hate anything in a game where you're put in this scenario and a challenge where you're put in a small space where you're just guaranteed to be like pummeled with damage, and like there isn't really any way to avoid it. It's kind of like, you might get lucky to survive. There's not much skill to it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree.
The Zeppelin, bring it down.
Mr. DeWitt?
I hate the splicers.
You hate the splicers?
Just because not for a negative reason, just because I think they are genuinely like creepy. There's a specific splicer I hate because they're just really annoying to fight, and it's the Houdini splicer.
Oh yeah,
okay. Constantly disappearing and stuff. Yeah, they're just really creepy and annoying.
That's what plasmids are for. Shock the motherfuckers.
That's true, and then it stops it in place.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Can you help me, man? Can you help me out? Hey, can you help me, man? Can you help me out? Hey, over here!
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, I'm playing Bioshock at the moment, and I've just dealt with my first Houdini splicer, and what a get. I spent more of the time it felt like chasing him around the goddamn section than anything else, and I accidentally shocked a Big Daddy while trying to hit the fucking thing, so that was annoying.
Bad luck.
Yeah. Another one I've got then is one that, again, is almost on everyone's list as, and here's the thing, is this isn't such a bad thing, the problem is how many times you got to do it, and it's hacking. The hacking mini game from the original game involving the pipes. Now, I like the concept, and I think it's fun to a degree, but you will end up doing that, I would say, a couple of 100 times throughout the entire game. Everything it's the same for everything, no matter what you're hacking, be it a vending machine, a health machine, a goddamn turret, the motorized one, everything is the same thing.
Yeah, if you're looking to hack like everything, you're going to be definitely tired of it by the end. It's it's competent, but it's not like much fun after a while.
No, they should have had it should have been a sort of, to me it should have been like something you have to do at first, but you then have to pick it up an upgrade that allowed you to bypass it more in that sense.
Well, then later in the game they add in that whole mechanic of where the water's going faster and stuff like that. And it's just annoying. You know?
Saves need it as well. Like even saves need it, which is just like, come on.
Yeah. Okay, I hate that 2K games shut down Irrational Games.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
as simple as that, really.
Yeah.
And that means we'll never get a Bioshock game in the same vein by the same team. You know, Ken Levine was the mind behind this whole story that we love so much.
Yeah.
And if it ever happens again, never say never. I mean, they could obviously bring him in, possibly give him enough money. Who knows? But it probably will never happen.
It'll never be the original team again. To me, it now looks like the most we'll ever get is a similar thing to Rare. What Rare became, or what we saw quite recently, which was the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie, Ukulele, that kind of thing, where parts of the original Bioshock team will be, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's just sad. Like, but even though like he obviously wrapped it up, the story in his image, and he finished it and stuff. But
in his image, he's not. He's talking like he's God.
Come on, mate, it's pretty damn good. But yeah.
Okay, my next one is bullet sponge enemies, and this applies in particular to Bioshock Infinite, I'm afraid. The game is quite responsible for a lot of bullet sponge enemies in the sense that you would fight particular bosses who just soaked up, like Dr. Steinman is a great example of what is supposed to just be a normal splicery kind of character, but ends up taking so much bullets it's almost silly.
That's true, because like most of the splicers you come across, if you do get in a position where you can nail them with like a shotgun, normally they'll die. Yeah. But yeah, with him, he takes some serious abuse. And
Absolutely.
It's like, are you human or what?
Yeah. And Infinite introduced, I can't remember the full name of them, but they're the robots, the walking robots, what's it called, with the American flags, the Founding Fathers things.
Yeah.
And you will fight a lot of them, and they are bullet sponges as well.
Well, they are robots, I guess. So.
Yeah, but it is like that sort of thing once or twice, like with Big Daddies and all that, you can handle. When they just become enemies in the game.
Yeah,
bit of a problem.
That's true. Like
they're not handymen. Handymen were your big daddies of Infinite, so that was fine, And then you had these other things, and it's like, oh, come on.
Well, it's interesting because my next point actually kind of touches on that, and it's that one of the common themes I saw online when looking at things people hate about Bioshock was that people complained about the combat in Infinite.
Okay,
and like you mentioned, with certain enemies that are kind of thrown at you more than they probably should have been, the game does almost stray into shooting gallery territory, and that's something
I considered this one.
That's something a lot of people complain about online. But even though it does, and the combat is a little bit overdone in the game, I still think the combat's really fun. Like, it's still really well made combat, and you have the skyhook to play around with. That's really fun. I never really got bored with it in the same way that a lot of people complained about it. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Alright, well, my next hate one is going to Bioshock 2, off the Bioshock 2. And it's an interesting criticism because it is nitpicking. And it's not... so basically, we're talking big sisters here. Now, I actually don't mind them. I think it's an interesting development, even though if we were and that's why it can't be canon, because where the fuck were any of them in the original Bioshock? And stuff like that. Yeah. However, how lazy can you fucking be? But when it came to designing, we need something, but we can't have big daddies because you are a big daddy and all that. Oh no, let's create this big sisters thing.
It's a little on the nose, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems obvious, really, doesn't it?
But it's how lazy can you be? And they didn't look particularly cool. And so the fact they weren't around in the original Bioshock made it already feel like a separate thing, a separate entity. And one thing that drove me nuts about that is it lost the preparation thing. Is you got an advance warning you were going to have to fight a big sister, and it was you've got 30 seconds to prepare, and it's no, that doesn't feel natural anymore.
No, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, that's that, yeah.
No, I don't disagree. Alright, Frank Fontaine boss fight we've done there. It sucks. Yeah, I hate that Bioshock 2, again, talking about it isn't technically considered canon. I just think that's a huge shame, and obviously it screws with the whole vision of that Ken Levine had for the series. It's just a shame because it's a good game, and it's kind of thrown to the side. A lot of people talk negatively about it, and it's just good. It's a shame.
It is a shame, but it did fuck too much with it.
Yeah,
so,
the creators of it probably have some questions to answer for sure.
Okay, I'm going back to Infinite. I told you there was a few.
Going back and forth.
Yeah. So my thing is, and I don't know how much you could agree with this one, but I think we shouldn't have had Vigors in Bioshock Infinite. I don't know if we needed them. That's the question. Did we really need them? When I think of like plasmids, I think they're iconic. When I think of Vigors, I don't. And I think, could that have been just better focused on gunplay, considering it is the majority of the time? And you're trying to think of, like you mentioned, all right, the other video, Murder of Crows. Name me some other Vigors. I mean,
Shock Jockey. No,
yeah.
I think that's in the first game.
I mean, you're already stuck. Whereas it's like you could probably start
Devil's Kiss.
But you could start. That's only fire, isn't it?
That's fire.
So you could, but plasmids, you could probably start naming a fair few more.
Bucking Bronco.
You know, and it's like, was that really? I know, like it was like, well, it's a Bioshock thing and so on, but Vigors didn't make sense to me in the world of Columbia the way they did in Rapture.
That's a good point. They do the whole thing with Salt rather than Eve and stuff like that. So. Yeah, I don't think necessarily it needed it. You're right, but maybe like if it hadn't been in there, I could understand the combat like complaint a bit more, because it does have some variety, and like there are a decent amount of them. It does have some kind of new ones, but then normally, like you said, you normally stick to the original like fire and like a lightning one. But yeah, that's a good point.
Go on.
Okay, this is where I'm really like running out of ideas. So
yeah, go on.
I just hate that some people actually hate their games, because I just think that's like. I can't understand why anyone could possibly dislike them. It's like they are perfectly narratively driven single-player action adventure games, and I can't really fathom.
See, I disagree with the term you just used.
What's that?
They're not action adventure games. They're first-person shooters. They are.
Well, yeah, like
they're narratively driven,
and
they have plenty of action and adventure and stuff like that. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, they are FPSs. In it, because that is only what it is, just done differently.
It's an FPS, but it's still kind of an action adventure. It's just like it covers many genres. That's what's so great about.
But if you just don't like shooting games, there's no appeal here.
Yeah, but like if you don't like, I guess if you don't like shooting games, but that's such a broad, like not like in shooting games, man. I don't know.
Oh, it's broad because it's like, well, when you talk shooting game, we didn't talk FPS. You often tend to go. You just think of Call of Duty and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it is too general. There are many great there's like Far Cry. Far Cry is first person shooter. I mean, like you get Oh,
well, you could always go like just go melee, man, with Bioshock.
You just use a wrench all the way
through. You don't like using the guns, man. Just use a wrench.
All right, my next one is, I wonder how you'll feel about this one as well. The morality system of saving or harvesting little sisters. When it comes down to it, doesn't really matter.
Almost home, Daddy. Hiding hole in here, Daddy. Daddy!
Because ultimately, all it does is give you a different ending.
Different ending, yeah.
And the endings, it's not like you get a spectacularly different ending. Now, obviously, I would advise if you're playing through it, although you get a little bit more Eve for harvesting, save them. Because of the presence, and I think you get more bonuses that way than you actually do by harvesting. Although you get more Eve, what you get overall through saving, and plus eventually you get a specific fucking Big Daddy control plasmid, I think it is.
Yeah,
you can only get from saving the sisters. But at the end of it, like the whole morality thing, other than maybe making you feel a bit better, is at the end is you get one of two endings, and those endings, neither of them is particularly satisfying. I think the final scenes.
Really, you don't think it's satisfying when it shows Jack in like the hospital bed, when all the little sisters come around and like touch his hand and stuff like that. You don't think that's satisfying?
No, just because it's just played out in like a frame. It's not even like a scene. It's a frame. It's almost a freeze frame thing. So like in that sense, it's not. But then Bioshock's original, I don't, the whole final third is an issue in itself. But like it's about the journey more than for me the ending in that game.
Yeah, I mean, other than like you said, there isn't really like much of a purpose to whether or not you decide to harvest them or not, other than like you said, just really your own choice.
Yeah,
I guess
it's about how you feel.
It's a morality choice, really. But I never really understood why, other than like you thought it was funny to harvest a little sister? I don't know, but why you would choose to harvest them really? Like I didn't really see why anyone would really.
It was just the extra Eve. That was it.
Yeah, but then like you said, it does make up for it. So it kind of like makes it kind of pointless to harvest them, other than like you get to see the scene of one being harvested, which is like yeah.
Go on.
Okay, and let's see.
Got 3 left.
I've got 2 left. I hate there is so much cool Bioshock merchandise.
Yeah, there is actually some fucking great stuff out there
that I can't afford.
Yeah, I want myself some big old Big Daddy, one of the 12-inch size models, you know?
Yeah, like there's also these really amazing replica of bigger bottles, like full-size ones.
Oh, I've seen them.
And they are super rare now. They only made like a really limited amount of them, and they used to be like expensive, but now they've just gone like to crazy prices. It's like I'll never own one. Like I was saying, Devil's Kiss, like I really like the design of that, of like the female devil and stuff like that. And yeah, the replica bottle of that, of the female devil figure on the top and stuff, is just like stunning.
You've got some Bioshock merchandise, so what? Tell them some of the ones you've got.
I've got a replica Skyhook, like a bunch of different Big Daddies, a Big Sister, Little Sister, like a lot of the Bioshock 1 and Bioshock 2 figures. And I've got a Songbird plush, and I think I covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I've got a couple of models as well. Splicers, Booker. I've got a Booker 1. Booker 1 specifically. I'm holding a Skyhook in his hand. The Brute Splicer from Bioshock 2, the big ones.
Yeah, I've got that up there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Have I got anything else beyond that?
Got most of the Splicer ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want more.
Yeah, basically, you're right. It's got some quick stuff, and I hate that. All right, so you've got one more left, yeah?
One more.
I'll go through 2. Back to Bioshock Infinite. Let's be honest, people. Columbia just isn't that interesting when compared to Rapture. When you really think about iconic places, Columbia, particularly when you're kind of just moving through it and shooting, like it never really lots of things start to not stand out, and
yeah, the initial introduction is like it's so huge and it kind of loses that a little bit when you're just wandering through the streets and like nothing's really happening but you're fighting enemies. Yeah, it lacks like some of the intrigue, I guess.
It just looks like a nice town.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in that sense, it could be on Earth, that kind of thing. Actually, I'm wrong. I've only got 1 left. We'd already done my 1, so I'll finish with my 1 then. And it's a DLC, Challenge Room DLC from the very first game. That point when that came out, we'd wanted more from Bioshock, and they went, yeah, all right, here's some challenge rooms. Fuck off, guys.
I still have not touched that because I've had no interest in it.
It's fun in the sense it's like a mix of like, you know, some are puzzle, some are just action, but it is exactly what it says it is. It's challenge rooms. Is there really anything to get excited about? It's not. It's not what you wanted when it came to DLC.
I don't think it helped its cause, really. Like the negative things people were saying about it, I don't think it really helped its cause. All right, my final one is kind of appropriate because of what we said at the beginning and how tough this was. I just hate that I had to try and think of 10 things that I hate about Bioshock.
He's come up with some, yeah.
It's one of my favourite games of all time as a series, and yeah, to think all these up was actually almost impossible, so managed to get this many out. I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm always,
well, that's a cheap one, but yeah, I mean, ultimately it forces us to have to think and go, okay, what didn't I like? And it's like, you just got to be honest with it. Like, tell you about another one. Earlier today, at the time of this recording, I've sat down and done a horror one with my wife of my most favourite horror movie ever. I come up with 10 things I hate about the Return of the Living Dead. And that was horrible.
Yeah, I'd struggle with that one.
Yeah, I did it, but each one I was like, I don't really believe this, I don't really agree with this, even though it's the truth. It's like, okay, this, if you would have pushed me on it, if you had a gun to my head and said, well, tell me one thing you don't like about Bioshock Infinite, I'm gonna come up with something. That's reality is I don't like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of mine were touching on the fact that I hate that there isn't more Bioshock.
Basically, yeah.
Pretty much.
So there's our 10 things we hate. As always, thank you for watching. Watch out for the next videos, and if you've got any suggestions, drop them out in the YouTube in the comment section. We're always up for suggestions. We've always got more. Yeah, brilliant.